Anino S.A. Hacienda Dela Cruz, focusing on Isabel's arrival and the first chilling signs that she has inherited more than land. Anino sa Hacienda de la Cruz, Episode 1 ante weeping. Chapo opening scene. A bus rumbles down a winding road through dense Ilocos countryside. The fog thickens as the sun sets, casting orange shadows over endless tobacco fields. Isabel Dela Cruz, late 20s. City-born journalist leans her head against the window, earbuds in, trying to block out the world in her lap. A letter. Yellowed and torn at the edges, the words from her Lola's lawyer echo in her mind. Greater than she left you, the land, the house, and something else. Don't let the townsfolk scare you. Scene 1. Arrival at the hacienda. Isabel steps off the bus onto red soil. Waiting by an old jeepney is Mang Rubin, the longtime caretaker, silent and gaunt. You shouldn't have come alone, he mutters, avoiding her eyes. Why are the ghosts real? She jokes. It's not the ghosts you should fear, it's the one still alive. As they approach Hacienda de la Cruz, the mansion looms like a carcass of colonial wealth-fading woodwork, barred windows, vines choking the walls. A half-broken fountain trickles red-stained water. The maids stare, whispering prayers under their breath. Scene 2. The locked chapel that night, unable to sleep. Isabel explores the halls. Her grandmother's portrait dominates the foyer, stern eyes watching her every step. She finds herself drawn to the old chapel, nailed shut. A rusted rosary hangs from the door. From inside, she hears Whippinjaw woman sobbing softly, rhythmically. She rattles the handle. Locked. No reply. The sobs stop instantly, replaced by silence. When she steps back, she sees something terrifying. A tear trickling down the cheek of the statue of San Antonio de Padua beside the chapel door. Scene 3. The servants warning at breakfast, Isabel confronts the housekeeper, Aling Lords, about the sounds. The woman refuses to answer at first, then finally hisses, Greater than, do not open that chapel. That's where your Lola kept the mirror. What mirror? The one that remembers. Isabel brushes it off, but something gnaws at her. That night, she dreams of her Lola standing in the chapel, whispering, Greater than you are not here to claim the land. You are here to finish what I began before the war. She wakes with a nosebleed and her bedsheets damp, smelling faintly of jasmine and grave soil. End of episode 1 teaser. Before the first storm, the ground must tremble. And when the dead speak, the blood must answer. Isabel opens the old chest in her Lola's room. Inside, a cracked mirror, a black veil, and a leather-bound book with a name stitched in gold. Isabel Maria de la Cruz, taga pamahitan, NG Anino.
Anino. S.A. Hacienda de la Cruz, Episode 2. The chapel door opening scene. Thunder rolls across the Ilocos sky. Rain lashes the hacienda windows. In the dim hallway, Isabel stands alone in front of the locked chapel, barefoot, holding an oil lamp. The rest of the house sleeps. She stares at the statue of San Antonio, now cracked where the tear once was. The rosary on the chapel door is gone. Scene 1. The first attempt, Isabel brings down a crowbar from the old bodega. As she wedges it between the chapel's warped double doors, she whispers. I don't believe in ghosts, don't believe in curses. But as the lock gives with a snap, the air grows cold. Her breath fogs in front of her face. The lights flicker. Inside, the chapel is black, pitch black. She steps inside, lamp raised. Scene 2. The mirror that breathes the room is coated in dust, cobwebs hanging from candle sconces. But in the center, where the altar should be, stands a massive mirror, 6 feet tall, draped in a black veil. A circle of salt surrounds its base, etched in Ilocano across the wooden frame. Makikita mo ang hindi. Mo hinahahap. Isabel steps closer, fingers brushing the veil when. Suddenly, a child's voice giggles behind her. She whirls. No one's there. When she turns back, the veil is gone. The mirror now reflects her room, but not her. Instead, it shows her Lola, standing behind the bed, weeping into her hands. Scene 3. The candle and the scratch, panicked. Isabel backs away, but her lamp extinguishes with a hiss. Total darkness. Whispers rise all around her. Voices in Ilocano, Spanish, Japanese. One candle lights by itself, near the altar. Just one. Its flicker reveals a message scratched into the chapel wall behind the mirror, written in fingernail-deep gouges. Isa lang ang, maring then. Suddenly, a long red mark appears on Isabel's forearm, burning hot. She drops the lamp and flees the chapel. The door slams shut behind her with supernatural force. Locked again. Scene 4. The first visitor the next morning. A landlord finds Isabel in the hallway, pale and feverish. The scratch on her arm has blackened at the edges. You looked into it, didn't you? What is it? It's not a mirror. It's a gate. Sure, it's air now. Before Isabel can ask more, a knock echoes through the hacienda's grand hall. Standing at the gate, a young woman, soaked from the rain, clutching a bundle of bolete twigs. Eyes cloudy, voice flat. I'm here to help the mediator. My name is Sabel. The shadows said you'd open it. Episode 2 ends. Next episode trace ang Espiritista at Engi Ching na Bata. Anino sa Hacienda Dela Cruz. Episode trace ang Espiritista at Engi Ching na Bata. Opening scene. Thunder echoes. Rain pours without pause. Sabel, the girl at the gate, is let inside. She's around Isabel's age, with streaks of ash on her cheeks and a pouch full of dried herbs and bones. Her eyes seem distant, as though half of her is elsewhere. The veil is thin now, Sabel murmurs. The first has already found you. Scene 1. Cleansing the hall, Sabel sets up a small altar in the main hall, placing salt bolete leaves, a broken crucifix, and a dagger carved from bone. She chants, in a mix of Ilocano and Latin, while Isabel watches, still skeptical. What exactly are you? A medium, but not by choice, and me, Saki. Cholola opened the gate once. Now it opens for you. Suddenly, all the windows slam shut, the candles flicker, and in the reflection of the broken mirror on the wall, a child stands at the staircase, still. Watching. Scene 2. The black-eyed child. Isabel turns. Nothing there, but Sabel sees him. Don't say his name, she warns. He has no name. He never should have had one. They find muddy footprints on the second floor. Children's footprints. Leading into Isabel's room. Inside. Her Lola's old rocking chair creaks slowly. On the bed, her grandmother's rosary has been tied into a noose. Sabel lights a protective incense, but the smoke curls unnaturally, forming a small handprint on the wall burnt black into the plaster. He's the first soul drawn through. He doesn't kill, he remembers. He laches, on to grief. That night, Isabel dreams of a small boy sitting on the hacienda roof, humming a lullaby, in reverse. Scene 3. The origin Sabel tells the story. During the war, your great-uncle hid a child from the Japanese soldiers. The boy died in the chapel during a ritual. He was the first sacrifice. Your family tried to name him in the rites, to make him a guardian. But no child should carry that. In the dream, the boy whispers to Isabel. You opened the mirror. Now I see. Do you want to see too? She wakes blind. Her room is filled with fog. In the mirror. The boy stares back, his eyes black as an eclipse, lips moving, but no sound. Scene 4. The naming. Sabel performs a counter-ritual using Isabel's blood and the torn page from the Taga Pamagitan's book. You must never speak his name, but you must see his memory. The chapel door opens by itself. Inside, the mirror now shows a bloody altar from decades ago, a boy bound, a soldier praying, and a priest weeping as the bell tolls. The boy in the mirror stares, then smiles. Final scene down in the chapel. The mirror fogs again. This time, it shows 3 shapes behind Isabel and Sabel, a woman with no face, and a man with burning eyes. One is awake. 2 more will come. Isabel turns to Sabel. What happens when all of them arrive? Sabel replies, without blinking. Then the land dies with you. End of episode 3. Next episode 4. Ang Im. Pangalawang Anino. A look into the faceless woman. And the wartime secret buried beneath the hacienda chapel floor. Anino sa Hacienda. Dela Cruz, Episode 4. On ang Alamat, Nah. Pangalawang, Anino. Opening scene. Flashback, -1943. The chapel is lit by oil lamps. A young Spanish mestiza nun, Sister Remedios, kneels in front of the altar, Sao said. The jungle groans with the sounds of Japanese patrols. The family priest hands her a small, swaddled bundle. You must bury her beneath the chapel. She cannot be named. She has no face, no soul. The nun weeps as the infant lets out a breath, not a cry, but a sigh like wind rustling dead leaves. Scene 1. Isabel's visions, present day. Isabel wakes with dirt under her nails and muddy footprints across her bedsheets. The mirror in the chapel has begun bleeding from its edgiest dark red, like rust, seeping from the wood. See? In the fogged glass, she sees the faceless woman, in a bloodied nun's habit, her head tilted, skin smooth and featureless. She mouths something. You buried me without eyes, but I still see. Sabel warns Isabel. That's the second shadow. She's not a ghost. She's unfinished. Scene 2. The secret under the chapel. They break the chapel floor beneath the altar and uncover a forgotten crypt door, chained shut. It reeks of stagnant water and burnt wood. Inside, bones wrapped in a nun's veil. Beside it, carved in the wall, Remedios de Castro. Martyr Ng. Sabel finds a second book. A nun's diary. In it, pages soaked in wax. One line is repeated. She was born without a soul, so we fed her once. Suddenly, the crypt door slams shut behind them. Scene 3. The whispering veil trapped below. Sabel lights a candle. The flame flickers, then burns blue. Whispers rise from the walls, not speech but breathing. And then a face begins to appear on the smooth wall opposite the bones. Not human. Not finished. Sabel begins convulsing. Her eyes roll back. A voice speaks through her. Sister Remedios gave me a name. She gave me flesh. Now give me yours. Isabel stares at the wall and sees herself, slowly morphing into the nun, robes forming around her. She tears the candle from Sabel's hand and extinguishes the flame. The shadows retreat. Scene 4. The old bell rings when they escape the crypt. The old chapel bell rings by itself, though no rope remains. Mang Reuben arrives, shaken. That bell hasn't tolled since 1943. That's when the Dela Cruz matriarch went mad. She claimed her daughter was eaten by the house. They realized the faceless woman wasn't a stranger. She was family, so. Final scene. In the mirror that night, Isabel looks into the chapel mirror. She sees the faceless woman standing beside her younger self, holding her hand. In the reflection, they both have no faces. Behind them, the third figure, the burning-eyed man, takes a step forward. Voiceover: every sin has a shadow. Every name has a price. End of episode 4. Next. Episode 5. Ang lalaki may apoy sa mga. The truth behind the third shadow. A soldier, a traitor, and the final pact that cursed the Dela Cruz bloodline. Episode 5. Ang lalaki na may apko sam hay mata. Opening scene. War-torn memory. A soldier in a bloodied Filipino uniform runs through burning sugarcane fields. His eyes bright, unnaturally glowing orange reflect fire. He turns toward the camera and whispers, "I did it for the family." The flames consume the background as screams echo. Scene 1. The burned letters back in the present. Isabel discovers charred letters hidden beneath a loose tile in the master bedroom. They are written by Coronel Mateo Dela Cruz, her great-grandfather. He speaks of a ritual pact performed during the Japanese occupation when the family was at risk of losing everything. The spirits offered me protection. All I had to do was promise them 3 things: 1 child without a name, 1 soul without a face, and mine, with fire in my eyes. Sabel reads over her shoulder and gasps. He wasn't cursed, he chose damnation. Scene 3. The pact. Sabel reveals the final truth. Your great-grandfather promised the spirits guardianship of the land if they protected him. But guardianship requires 3 souls offered willingly. When your Lola refused to complete the pact, the shadows turned on her. Isabel asks, "What happens if I break the pact?" Sabel replies, "They take it, and they never stop taking." Scene 4. Mateo's warning. Isabel confronts Mateo's spirit in the mirror. "I'm not finishing your curse," he responds with fury. "Then your land will rot. Your blood will spoil. The house will sink beneath the soil like all secrets do." He reaches through the mirror, grabbing Isabel's wrist. Her skin begins to singe. Sabel slashes the air with a dagger carved from belit, severing the contact. The mirror shatters. Final scene. An omen. The next morning. The sky is red at dawn. All the plants in the garden have wilted overnight. The servants have fled. Only a single thing remains untouched. A new mirror. Placed on the chapel altar. Clean, polished. On its surface is scrawled, in ash, "One more must be named." End of episode 5. Next. Episode 6. Ang Huling Pangalan. Isabel learns she must either sacrifice someone she loves or uncover a forgotten fourth name written in the land. Blood before sunrise on the next red moon. Anino Isabel Dela Cruz. Episode 6. Ang Huling, Pangalawang. Opening scene. A crimson moon, the moon rises blood red over the hacienda. Sabel wakes Isabel in the middle of the night. "It's begun," she says. "The pact won't wait much longer." Outside, animals cry out. The pond turns black. In the trees, no birds sing. Everything living seems to recoil from the estate. Scene 1. Mateo's Legis brings out a rotting ledger book that once belonged to Mateo. Hidden behind pages of land deals and military notes is a list. 3 names. Crossed out in red ink: Isidro, the black-eyed child Remedios, the faceless nun Mateo, the soldier who bartered his soul. But a 4th space is left blank. There was always supposed to be, for Sabel mutters, "Zides." In the ritual, "Apet na Pangalun. Para sa apet na sulak. Ng. Lupa." 4 names for the 4 corners of the land. She flips to the last page. It reads, Kung wala ang dugo ng salin lahe ang kabat. Scene 2. Isabel's true inheritance. Isabel panics. What if it's me? What if I'm the last name? Sabel hesitates. Maybe. Or maybe it's someone your Lola erased. They go to the attic and find a burnt photo album. Inside are pictures of the Dela Cruz family before the war. But there's one face scratched out repeatedly. Always a child, standing beside Mateo, wearing a crucifix. The name under one photo reads, Raphael. That's not in any family record. Isabel whispers. Scene 3. The Forgotten Brother. Sabel tells a legend she heard from another Espiritista. There was once a Dela Cruz son who went missing during the war. Not killed. Hidden. They say he was sent away. Not to be lost, but to hide his name from the spirits. That night, the mirror begins to glow again. But this time, it doesn't show ghosts. It shows a house in the city, modern, small, ordinary. A man, elderly, trimming his plants. It's Raphael. Isabel breathes. Scene 4. The decision Isabel realizes. Raphael is still alive. His name was never offered. The mirror, the pact, the decay. All of it could end if she offers Raphael's name before the next full moon, Sabel warns. But to give his name willingly is to mark him. It's a death sentence. The spirits will collect. And if I don't, the land will take you instead. Isabel is left with the impossible choice. Condemn a forgotten relative she's never met, or offer herself to complete the bloodline debt. The chapel bells ring again. Final scene. The mirror offers a deal. The mirror shows Isabel herself, dressed in a black veil, standing in front of the Dela Cruz graves. "If I take your name," a voice rasps from the glass, "you must stay."
What do you mean, stay?
You become the next Tagapamagitan, the next gatekeeper. End of episode 6. Next, episode 7. Ang Paglubog, Ng Hacienda, Dela Cruz. As the deadline nears, nature collapses around the estate. Isabel searches for Raphael while the land begins to rot from the inside out. Anino Hacienda Dela Cruz. Episode 7. Ang Paglabog, Ng Hacienda Dela Cruz. The roots turn black, a violent storm brews above the hacienda. Mang Ruben shouts that the kamagong trees are dying, their bark cracked open, oozing black sap like infected wounds. Crops wilt. Fish float belly up in the pond. The air smells like wet iron and rot. Inside the chapel, the mirror pulses faintly, glowing from within, like a womb of fire. Sabel. The curse has turned inward. Scene 1. Raphael's address. Sabel performs a ritual, using ash and dried tobacco leaves, to read the last energy left behind. In Mateo's ledger, a name and address emerge, written in smoke on the floorboards. Isabel Dela Cruz, 54 Luna Street, Vegan City. Isabel realizes Raphael is still alive, but for how long? If I don't get to him before the blood moon, either he dies, or I do. Scene 2. Escape attempt. Isabel packs a small bag to leave for Vegan, but as she and Sabel approach the front gate, the earth quakes, the driveway collapses. A sinkhole opens where the old sugar mill once stood. From within the pit, hands reach up, burnt, bloated, buried hands. They grab at the tires of the Jeep. Isabel screams. The mirror in the chapel begins to glow again, but now it shows drowned fields, choked gardens, a dead woman floating in a well. Sabel. It's showing you your future. Scene 3. The spirits grow bold that night. Isabel walks the grounds with a flashlight. She sees her grandmother sitting in the rocking chair, silently weeping, the black-eyed child hanging upside down from the tree. Humming a broken lullaby, the faceless woman emerging from the well, soaked and twitching, and finally, Mateo, standing at the edge of the cane field, on fire, eyes glowing, sword drawn. Mateo, you have one night left. Choose the blood, or be swallowed. Scene 4. Sabel's vision. Sabel attempts a deep trance, hoping to locate Raphael spiritually. Instead, she screams and begins to bleed from her nose and ears. Her body convulses. He's not just a forgotten name. He's protected. Something kept him hidden. Not human. Not clean. Sabel gasps out one final warning. If you bring Raphael back, you might finish the curse instead of ending it. Final scene. Isabel's stand. Isabel returns to the chapel and kneels before the mirror. She places a single photo of Raphael scratched but visible at its base. I won't sacrifice him, but I'll face you. The mirror ripples. The shadows part. The floor cracks beneath her knees. Suddenly, the mirror sucks her in. Lightning strikes the chapel roof. The screen cuts to black. End of episode 7. Next. Episode 8. Ang Nawalang Pangalan, Ng Salamon. Trapped inside the mirror world, Isabel must survive visions of her family's darkest sins and uncover the true fourth name, one that never belonged to the Dela Cruz bloodline. Anino sa Hacienda Dela Cruz, Episode 8, Ang Nawa, Pangalan Ng Salamin. Opening scene. Inside the mirror, Isabel opens her eyes. She's lying in the Hacienda chapel, but everything is off. The walls are melting wax, the statues are turned away from her, and the floor reflects like still water. She's not in her world anymore, she's inside the mirror. Where is this? She whispers. A voice answers behind her. Where all names are remembered, and none are forgiven. It's the faceless nun. She leads Isabel into the dark. Scene 1. The Gallery of Guilt. They pass a series of floating mirrors, each showing a cursed moment. Mateo, making the blood pact with a masked priest. Remedios, sealing the crying infant into a coffin of salt. Isabel's Lola burning. Raphael's birth certificate. Isabel herself, as a child, pointing to the chapel and saying, "There's someone in there." Each time she looks away, her reflection stays behind, staring at her. The faceless nun whispers, "This house didn't need demons. It birthed them." Scene 2. The fourth name. In a quiet corridor, Isabel finds a mirror showing Raphael, a little boy, hiding under a floorboard, whispering to someone unseen. "I'm not one of them. I'm not like the others," she sees. Her great-grandmother standing above him, chanting an old Visayan prayer, drawing a sigil of protection over his chest. "You will be the name they cannot touch." Suddenly, a hidden truth reveals itself. Raphael was not a Dela Cruz by blood. He was a foundling, taken in to complete the ritual, but spared. His name never belonged to the curse. Isabel, the fourth name. It isn't his.
It never was.
Scene 3. The mirrors, true hunger, the space around her darkens. The three shadows appear. The black-eyed child, crying blood, the faceless nun, reaching for her throat, Mateo, burning and laughing. They speak as one, then offer a name. "We need 4. You opened the gate." Isabel screams, "Then take mine." The mirror shudders, then rejects her. A fourth voice answers from the dark. She is not the fourth, she is the fifth. She is the one who ends it. A new name burns into the mirror's surface. San Alvaro. Scene 4. The betrayer priest in a final flashback. Isabel sees it clearly. A priest named Father Ignacio San Alvaro, Mateo's spiritual advisor, was the original architect of the ritual. It was his name that sealed the pact. He was never punished, only forgotten. Sabel's voice echoes into the mirror realm. The mirror needs justice, not blood. Shattering the cycle, Isabel carves the name San Alvaro into the chapel floor with her own blood. The mirror shrieks. The shadows crumble. The chapel walls implode. And Isabel is flung backward, back into her world. She wakes on the chapel floor, gasping, as dawn breaks. The mirror is now cracked, dull. Silent Sabel enters, eyes wide. "You didn't give them a name. You gave them the truth." End of episode 8. Next. Episode 9. Ang Campana. The hacienda reacts. The mirror world has collapsed, but the spirits are not gone. They are free. One last reckoning must be faced. Anino sa Hacienda Dela Cruz. Episode 9. Angi Campana. Enijade's opening scene. The chapel bell, it is dawn. A bell tolls, even though the chapel's bell tower has been rusted shut for decades. Each chime sounds wet, echoing like something struck deep inside bone. Outside, the hacienda grounds are changing. Soil turns black and pulses as if breathing. Vines twist around tombstones in the family mausoleum. The river behind the sugarcane fields runs red, like fresh blood. Isabel stares up at the tower. "It's not over. I freed them." "Sabela, no, Niña. You woke them. Now they want their full due." Scene 1. The spirits unbound across the estate. Spirits walk. The faceless woman is seen weeping at the well. Mateo, aflame and laughing, walks into the barracks where he once ordered executions. The black-eyed child stares at the sugar workers' abandoned quarters. But they no longer haunt. Now they remember. Now they reclaim. Those loyal to the Dela Cruz name. Caretakers, old tenants. Even the town priests begin to experience visions, seizures, and sudden fevers. Isabel asks Sabel, "What is the bell summoning?" Sabel, "Not just soul's judgment." Scene 2. The secret beneath the chapel. Isabel and Sabel descend into the chapel's crypt. Where the mirror once held their reflection, Now there is a dark opening, glowing faintly with candlelight. At the bottom, a secret room. Inside are 4 coffins, each marked with an unwritten name. Sealed with bone thread, Sabel weeps. They were never buried in peace. The pact made their names eternal, but not at rest. Isabel sees it clearly. This was not just a curse. It was a prison, powered by generations of silence. Scene 3. The bell tower burns back above. The bell rings one final time, and bursts into flame. The tower collapses. The fire spreads. But the blaze doesn't consume. It reveals, scorched. Wood gives way to murals hidden for 80 years. The walls of the hacienda itself bleed sepia-toned memories. Betrayal, prayers, twisted into curses. The family tree painted on the dining hall wall begins to drip away, erasing names. Sabel screams. The house is erasing its own sins. Scene 4. Isabel's decision. The spirits confront her. One by one, they circle Isabel in the crypt. The nun with no face, the soldier with burning eyes, the child with no voice, and finally, her own reflection, watching her silently. They do not speak. They only offer her the dagger of bone once used to sign the blood pact. Sabel says, "This is it. End it. Or become it." Isabel kneels. She carves a single word into the chapel floor. Voila, a refusal. No more names. No more sacrifices. The curse dies with her stand. Final scene. Silence after the storm. The chapel begins to collapse, but the spirits simply fade. Like a sigh exhaled after centuries. The soil stills. The river runs clear. The bell stops ringing. The sun finally shines through the broken stained glass, casting no shadows. Sabel places a hand on Isabel's shoulder. You ended it. Not with fire. Not with blood, but with truth and refusals. End of episode 9. Up next, episode 10. Ang Pagpeli. Will Isabel rebuild the chapel as its new guardian? Or leave the ruins behind forever? Anino sa Hacienda. Dela Cruz. Episode Diasong. Pagpili, Anahi. Tagapamahit. Opening scene. Morning after fire, a gray morning mist rolls over the estate. The hacienda chapel is gone. Now a hollow crater lined with ash and bone. Birds return. The vines have stopped writhing. Raphael stands outside with a lantern, waiting. Isabel emerges from the remnants of the crypt, blood on her palms, soot on her cheeks. Her eyes are clear. It's over, she says. But she isn't sure she believes it. Sabel kneels where the altar once stood. Only if you decide it is. Scene 1. Return of the living Don Elias Dela Cruz, long presumed dead or missing, walks out of the forest, disoriented, clutching a decades-old photo of his siblings. He has no memory of how he survived, only that a voice told him, "You may go now." The girl has made her choice. Other villagers awaken from trances. Caretaker Miguel speaks again for the first time in weeks. But the estate is forever changed. Scene 2. The medium's Sabel tells Isabel the truth. Every generation, someone is given the right to end the cycle, or renew it. But the choice must be conscious. The mirror, thought to be destroyed, reappears as a shard, embedded in the soil, pulsing with light. Sabel explains. To walk away means the estate will fall into ruin, free of spirits, but forgotten by history. To stay means becoming the next Tagapamagitan, the new medium guardian between the dead and living. Isabel hesitates. She never wanted any of this. But then she looks at the ledger. Her mother's entries. Her grandmother's handwriting. The final page is blank. If I walk away, who protects the next girl who comes looking? Scene 3. Isabel's choice. At dusk, Isabel gathers the townspeople and speaks at the crater. This place was built on stories no one wanted to remember. They lived. They suffered. They deserve more than silence. She places the mirror shard in a small wooden box and buries it beneath the old altar space. I will stay, not as a prisoner, not as a curse, but as a witness, a protector, a reminder. Scene 4. 1 year later. The hacienda is rebuilt, not as a manor, but a community library and healing center. Named by N-A-A, N-N-Gay, N-N-Gay, Anino. Isabel leads guided tours of the chapel ruins. She teaches local kids about oral history and ancestral respect. The spirits no longer haunt. But sometimes, at dusk, people say they see a faceless nun watching quietly from the trees and smile. Final scene. Closing voiceover. As the screen fades to black, Isabel narrates. But if you learn to listen, they just might guide you home. End of episode 10. Series finale.